YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, RAWCHAA QADASH. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Response to Deuteronomy 22:28. We want smoke. This is the Elder Karatazaba from the Great Millstone Baltimore camp, and pretty much he was doing a response to this video that the Deacon Akai and the Sakari, debate that they had with end time teacher, and pretty much it was centered around the Deuteronomy 22 and 28 law concerning grape. And pretty much, they were going back and forth, and Deacon Akai asked him, if something is lawful, should there be a punishment for it? And pretty much you have laws or sins that are unto death. You have sins that are not unto death. You have different penalties in the scriptures, and marriages were something that was set up and managed by the fathers. All right. And pretty much these marriages that were arranged, for the most part, once the man and the woman were engaged, then that woman was off the books. And this is why when you go to the law itself, it gives you different laws concerning grape and the different situations and different things that happen, because it did happen. Sometimes here in America, Jake acts like these things don't happen, and they do happen. It's like taboo sometimes to speak about these things. And I'm surprised at the Sakari that they can't get that simple law there in Deuteronomy 22. They're supposed to be these dagamen, these controversial individuals, hardcore, but then when it comes to the woman, it seems like they're still somewhat in that simpish state when it comes to the woman, especially with this law on the grape. And it's not that hard to understand, but something in their brain is just blocking them from getting it, and like he said, if something is lawful, should there be a penalty for it? Right? Now, this penalty is not a penalty unto death. If this was a heinous crime, the man would have been put to death. All right? So we're going to read a couple of these. We're going to get straight to the point, but I just want to read a couple of these for those of you that may not be familiar with the law on grape. The main one we're going to focus on is Deuteronomy 22, 28, and 29. But we're going to jump up to the 23rd verse, because these are different situations that would happen and the penalties. All right. So Deuteronomy 22 and 23, it says, if a damsel that is a virgin, meaning a young woman that's untouched, be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her. So this is a woman that was already promised to a man. So technically, once a woman was promised to a man, you could pretty much say this woman is off the market, so to speak. She's already spoken for. So if you dealt with this woman, whether you graped her or had sex with her, you pretty much committed either adultery or grape. And when the man lied with her, then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die. Right? Because she was engaged to a man, so pretty much this would be considered adultery, and pretty much she didn't scream, the damsel, because she cried not, being in the city. See, so she was in the city, she didn't scream, because the scream of a woman is given to her as a defense mechanism. If she would have screamed, men would have came out, fight, what's going on, what's happening, but she didn't scream. and the man because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So this is pretty much adultery, you know. It says, so that thou shalt put away evil from among you. All right. So this would be considered adultery. Right. It says, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her, so this is grape, right? Then the man only that lay with her shall die, right? Because obviously the woman cried, but there was no one there to help her. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter, right? And that's when, if you slay someone or kill someone, you would be put to death. All right. It says, for he found her in the field, you know, so this is out in a remote area. It says, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her, right? Because there was no one there that could hear her, that could come to her aid. So these are different scenarios that take place, you know, concerning rape, concerning adultery, so on and so forth. Now, in this case, the man would be put to death. That's a severe punishment because he violated his neighbor, you know, his neighbor's wife, which pretty much, even though he hadn't consummated the marriage yet, they were still, you know, promised to each other. All right. So that would be considered, you know, that would be considered a heinous crime. But now, rape did happen, and there were different situations. That's why it says, if the woman is not betrothed, as we're going to read now. But if a woman was already engaged or married, the penalty was death, because that's the same as adultery. All right. So when we go to the 28th verse, it says, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, right? So this is a young woman of marriageable age. She's not engaged to anyone, you know. And how did he know this? Because he's talking to her, finding out what's going on, you know. It says, and lay hold on her, meaning he grabbed her and seized her, right? No, ceases her, you know, like, so she can't go anywhere, and lie with her, and they be found, right? So he grabs her and takes it by force, right? Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. Why? Because a woman is a man's property. She belongs to her father, and when she gets married to her husband, she belongs to her husband. That is their property, you know. So being that he laid with her, now the father can't betroth her to someone else. He can't get a dowry for this woman because there is no way to prove her virginity because somebody already took it. So in this case, the man would pay the father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, right? Because he hath humbled her. So because he took it, she's going to be his wife. He may not put her away all the days of his, he may not put her away all his days. So he's making it seem, Deacon Akaz is making it seem like this is a severe punishment here. He may not put her away all his days. He got to deal with her because he popped her. It's just like if you have a wife, you know, that you had sex with, technically you're supposed to be with that woman forever. She ain't supposed to have no other man. The only way this woman can actually have another man is if that first husband that she had was dead. As it says here in Romans 7:1, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over men as long as he liveth. For the woman which hath an husband is bound to the law, is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then if, while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. See, so there was a process of everything. So technically, when he took it, he had to be with that woman because that was his wife. Because if he would have put it away, pretty much what would she become? An adulteress. and the man that she would lay down with would become an adulterer. This is why YAHAWASHI said this is a wicked and adulterous generation. So if you had that desire and this happened, you would compensate the father, and the woman would be yours for life. They're making it seem like that's a heinous thing. Oh man, that punishment is just too much, man. You got to be with this whole all her life. Oh my God, you can't put her away. I don't get it. You know, what's so hard to understand about that? That's not a severe punishment. It's not like the man, if this was a heinous crime, the man would be put to death. Nope, no ifs, ands about it. He raped her. Nope, he took it by force. Nope, just put him to death. That didn't happen. And this is why these diverse laws about rape were written, to give a distinction. Now, in the case of this particular one here, this was the dowry that was given to the father, 50 shekels of silver. All right, and he couldn't put away all the days of his life. Why? Because there was a dowry that was given for virgins. Now, when you look up the word dowry, the word dowry simply means gift or to give. Dowry, money, goods, or estate which a woman brings to her husband in marriage. Dower, gift, see, gift. Then you come down here is to give. So it was a gift that you would give. Whether you say it endow, like you endow is in gift or to gift in, basically. So when we go to the law itself on sundry laws, Exodus 22:16, and if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, right? So here it is, this woman, beautiful young woman, she's not engaged, and the man, in this case, the man enticed her. He didn't grab her by force. This time, because some other groups try to bring this scripture out to try to say that this is the same thing as Deuteronomy 22, because he rapped her and he got her, he got into her head and he got the drawers. No, this is a total different law, a total different situation. This is dealing with a man, sees a young woman, she looking good, he entices her, he sweet talks her, pretty much he sweet talks the drawers off her, right? And lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Why? Because he took her virginity. So she has to be his wife. So now, when he goes to the father, if her father utterly refused to give him her unto him. So if he goes to the father, and the father said, "Nah, I don't want to give my daughter to you," because maybe, she wasn't engaged, but maybe he had somebody else in mind, but he hadn't made the arrangement yet. See, so maybe he had a neighbor or somebody that he knew was well-to-do or had wealth, and he knew that he could take care of his daughter, and he was already, doing the research, so to speak, and he probably was getting ready to step to that dude's father to make an arrangement for the marriage, but he didn't get to, and this other man laid with her. So his father didn't. Nah, I don't want to give my daughter to you. It says he, meaning the man that enticed the woman, shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Right. So depending on what the father wanted. Now, when we go to the word dowry here, right, is the word mahar. The word mahar is purchase, price for wife, wedding money. So it was a price or a gift that the man would give to the father, depending on what the father wanted. Now there's a situation where we have King Saul, who was upset with King David because they were giving honor to King David, for slaying tens of thousands, and Saul only thousands. And Saul, when he heard that, he got mad, and he said, "You know what? What else can be given to him except for the kingdom?" So from that point on, Saul eyed David to put him to death. And he wanted to give him he wanted to give him his firstborn daughter, to wife, But King David was like, I'm just a peasant pretty much. Why should I be son-in-law to the king? And eventually the first daughter of Saul was given to another man. So the second time came around and King Saul said, look, I want you, because he saw that his daughter Michal really had the hots for King David. And he was happy about that because that was a way for him to try to, get King David to bring him a dowry. And seeing that he knew that King David was poor, he said, look, don't worry about money, because that's usually the dowry, because it's an exchange, goods in exchange for money, being the woman. And he knew that he could not give him money. So what he did was he was trying to set King David up to take a fall. And the dowry that he asked for was the dowry of the 100 foreskins of the Philistines. That was King Saul's dowry. So you had different men that had different dowries that they wanted. And in most cases it was money. But in the case of King David, it was dealing with the foreskin of 100 foreskins of the Philistines. There's been some contradictions said. Tonight. What are you talking about? The hell are you talking about? What contradictions? And it's not tonight. It's today. Are you in a coffin somewhere? Are you in a castle, a Dracula's castle or something? Is the elder reading the comments? Because there's a contradiction in his teaching. What are you talking about? Like the brother said, the man who raped her must give the young woman's father 50 silver shekels. Correct. And she must become his wife because he violated her. He cannot divorce her as long as he lives. Right. Because he didn't go through the proper channels. The proper channels was, there would be an arrangement, and the fathers would get together and say, look, I'm going to, your son is going to be engaged to my daughter. And at such and such a time, they're going to get together. We're going to throw this big, ceremony, wedding, whatever. And then that night, the marriage will be consummated. And this is why when you read up above in Deuteronomy 22, it spoke about the token of a virgin, the token of a woman's virginity, which was very important to the woman and to her parents. See, it ain't like today. Today, these women are loose. They lay down with whoever they want to lay down. There's no consequence. There's no shame. Back then, it was a shame for a woman that was a hoe. And that's why you had to have the token of virginity for the sake of the parents and for the sake of the daughter, because if they didn't have it and the man accused the woman of not being a virgin, she would be put to death. All right. Matter of fact, you know what? This guy right here. This guy right here. The hell out of here, man. All right, so let's go. Okay, yeah, all right. So we're good there. Now, let's go to the back here. Let's read this again, and then we'll get the matter of fact. No, let's go right to the point with King David. Actually, David and King Saul. So this is 1 Samuel 18 and 23. And Saul's servant spake these words in the ears of David, and David said, seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am poor and lightly esteemed? Right, so he wouldn't have the money to be able to pay a dowry, especially to a king. All right. It says, and the servant of Saul told him, saying, on this manner spake David. And Saul said, thus shall you say to David, the king desireth not any dowry. Right. He doesn't desire money in the, usual way, because you had the dowry of virgins, which was a gift of, or money. It says, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines. That's why in the law it said that if a father refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. But in this case, the king didn't require money because he knew King David didn't have the money. So he went with what? The 100 foreskins of the Philistines, because he was trying to set King David up to be put to death. All right? But the point is that he asked for a different type of dowry. All right? It says, to be avenged of the king's enemies, but Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. So pretty much that's how it was done. In this case, if the man took it, he would give the daughter's father's daughter, or the daughter's father, Salakia, 50 shekels of silver. All right? And she should be his wife forever. Now, if this was a heinous crime, don't you think it would have said the man would be put to death? Forget about the 50 shekels, or pay the 50 shekels and the man will be put to death. It didn't say that. This is not a heinous crime. And this is not something that happened all the time. You know, but these guys are too stuck and caught up in this Western emotional, world where they can't wrap their mind around this. You know, if something is lawful, do you think that there would be a punishment? This is not a heinous crime, first and foremost, and it's not like this penalty or punishment, however you want to put it, was something that was unbearable. You know, he had to be with the woman forever. Why? Because otherwise she would have been an adulteress. It's easy. Just like technically in the law, when a man married a woman, he wasn't supposed to put her away. But like YAHAWASHI said to them wicked Pharisees, and then because of the hardness of your heart, Moses put that in the law to put away your wife, give her a bill of divorcement. But that wasn't so from the beginning. You see? So it's not that hard, But anyway, I leave it at that, So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.